do we have to be? And how do we really contribute to the creation of the new world? And what do relationships have to do with that? And how does sexuality tie into all of that? So I want to take some time and talk about that and connect with you here. I was just sharing in my stories on Instagram something about my own story of how being the author who wrote a book about orgasm, how having been a transformational facilitator, spiritual mentor with powerful focus on tantric sexuality for so many years. Hello, welcome, beautiful people. How having been touched by the depth of what sexuality really is all about, how I have taken myself into a place of disconnection, and how I have kept my growth and my surrender by assuming that it did not matter anymore. So I was sharing a bit in my stories, and then I was like, I think I need to give some more context to that. And I feel like it's actually a very, very beneficial conversation, because you know what? Whenever I find myself in some kind of trap, what helps me to get out of it is my own work. And sometimes I feel like what I am doing is I am really continually cracking open and liberating my own self while helping you crack open and get liberated. But the thing is that it's like I am witnessed by the whole world as I'm doing that because I am facilitating, I am guiding, and at the same time I am so exposed because I am so public and so visible. And yet my own journey is a very human journey that goes in spirals, and that fascinates me, and that inspires me, and that always brings me to the same things, to the same principles that have awakened me 15 years ago. And it's just the depth of what my work is all about is so profound that it's through the spiral I just come back to the same things over and over again. So I am so grateful for the past version of me, for the future version of me, for every version of me who has been setting all these stones in place for all of us, and for me including. And so, what is sex? And why is it so important? Usually we think about sex as in something that is about pleasure, right? So what comes to your mind when you listen to me? What is sex? What are the first associations that come with sex? Of course, if you've been here long enough, you will say something transformational. You will say that sex has a power to transform. Sex has a power to open, to expand, to bring us to a place of surrender as women, that can bring us to a place of true masculine power as men. And at the same time, there's so much depth to it. And I wrote this poem a long time ago, but I want to read it now because it has a very clear definition of what sex means to me. And as you listen, just tune in to what resonates in you, and also what it really means to you. Connect to some of the deepest sexual experiences you've had, and these experiences may be even challenging experiences. Maybe these experiences involved you feeling not good enough, or even rejected, or you may have experienced pain or certain dissatisfaction. And then these things may, if you lean into them, they may open you to something that is of a different level, to a dimension that is beyond the normal dimension we are used to living in. So anyway, what I wrote about sex. What is sex? A friction in the genitals, some kissing, a bit of play, touch, and rush to a finish line. Or the most incredible thing two human beings can experience as their souls merge. In sex, I open up to a degree I can never open in any other circumstance. I shed my skin. I am beyond vulnerable. I become transparent. And I allow that with full willingness. In that, I can be destroyed, or I can be saved eternally. Either way, this is how I meet God. Through your lips, through your eyes, through your smell, through your hips, through your love, I meet myself. Through your penetrating presence, I allow God to penetrate me in all the secret places. Through my desire for you, I drop deeper into the very first desire of a human being, the desire to be one with God. By adoring and welcoming your lingam, I worship the Shiva lingam, which is the embodiment of light, which is light itself. And this is all I can really see. By feeling the yearning of my womb, I feel the alluring power that attracts bees to flowers, that draws atoms together, that makes presence merge with the manifest reality, that makes Shiva and Shakti dance their cosmic dance. I see nothing but you, beloved. I love loving your soul. I love losing myself in you. I love finding myself through you. In making love, I merge with all. And this is the greatest ecstasy there is. Through my erotic pleasure, I expand beyond the galaxy, where even the desire is no longer, because there is nothing to desire once you are one with all. What is sex? Sex is a path to God. This type of experience has changed my life, because I was always drawn to sexuality. I was always drawn to relationships. There's, and that's how we also understand the flavor of our supreme destiny. When there's something you're like, whoa, there is so much for me in it. And you're just drawn to it. You just want to go into it. You just want to be with it in your life. And that's how then, by leaning into it and just opening to life that was inviting me, I was like, there's a tantric sexuality workshop. You can go deeper. You can understand how spirituality connects with sexuality. Oh yeah, you can experience that. Oh yes. Then, exploring and experiencing and really giving myself to this experience, to that which I loved. If you love love, you have to give yourself to love in all her forms. And in relationships, as I've been saying for many, many years, sexuality is the most important level of meeting, because we can grow into every other level. We can grow into the emotional understanding. We can understand each other's needs and adapt and shape shift and accommodate each other's needs, and we can weave together on emotional levels. We can understand also intellectually, at some point you may just let go of the need to understand your partner. On other levels, you really can grow into understanding how each other's minds work, and also become really good friends on the intellectual level. Also spiritually, you can grow and evolve, and at the same time, it's the sexual level that fuels all of them, that fuels your spirituality also. And so when I found myself in a relationship where there was a certain excitement in the beginning around sexuality, because it's a new person, there's chemistry, but I knew that there was no sexual depth that was so important to me. And at some point, I just started to question myself whether I just imagined that this is important. I started to question whether, I've had all these experiences, I've written all these poems, I've written the book, I've spoken in the whole world about the sacredness of sexuality and how sexuality takes us all the way home. how sexuality is actually the power that makes us create the new world. It's pretty significant. I will come back to this thought. But I found myself in that meeting where we could not quite connect on that level. And the thing for a lot of people is that when they don't understand what sexuality can do for them, when it comes to really your supreme destiny, when it comes to really you unlocking your highest potential, when it comes to really you serving the evolution of humanity. And I know it touches you when I say that, because that's what I'm all about. I want to serve the evolution of humanity. I want to create the new world. I want to create the world where we live in peace, where we live in love, where we live in truth. I see us as the whole humanity entering into this next stage of our evolution. It's not just going to happen by itself. It's going to happen through our ascension, through our activation, through our liberation. And how do we do that? We do that by anchoring into the most radical aliveness within us, into the most truthful path of how our supreme destiny is unfolding. It's unique for each one of us, but if you are in love with love, like I am, if you are always in this thirst for relationship and for meeting the other, because you know that's how you meet yourself, and you want to create the romance, you want to create the connection, the depth, if you are this kind of person, sexuality is such an important portal for you, such an important one. And so in my story, so then I was with this other person, and there was so much beauty between us, so much harmony, like an incredible way to move together through life, incredible emotional connection, incredible intellectual connection. And yet sexual connection was there, but it was not the place where I felt met. And then what started to happen was that I just started to prioritize those other levels of connection and that harmony that was there and the emotional intellectual meeting that was there. And then trying, even though, I have all the tools, I have all the courses, I have all the rituals, I know everything I tried to apply all of that to the relationship, but somehow it was just not shifting that meeting. It was just like a long time went by and it was not possible to connect on that level in a way that I really felt that, boom, I can unfold, I can unwind, I can surrender. I am invited into the edge of my surrender, because that's what we want as women to experience in sexuality, to go into the edge of your heart. Because as a woman, you have to be always expanding your heart. You have to be rising in your queen. As a man, you have to be rising in your king. And sexuality is meant to help you with that. And so for a woman, you need to be invited into the edge of your surrender. What was the edge of your surrender half a year ago will not just do it anymore. So that was my situation, that I reached quite high states of surrender, quite a high state of femininity, of magnetism, which is, in a common sense, much higher than majority of the world. I've been incredibly privileged in that sense. And yet, what is high for someone, it's kindergarten for someone else. Because it's really all about our own personal evolution, where we are as a soul, what is your potential as a soul in this particular incarnation. And so I understand my potential, and I understand how ruthlessly I have kept it by staying in the situation that was not expanding me anymore and sacrificing that very important part of myself, my supreme destiny, in fact. And I don't have any regrets about that, because I've learned so much and I've focused on other aspects of my life, which were also really important for me to focus on. And still, I am here to say that if you are interested in reaching your potential as a woman, as a man, you need to focus on your sexuality. In sexuality, we grow as humans with such a speed, with such a fierceness that really is necessary in these times. Because these times, if you're noticing, like they're shaking us up. It's like, today is this full moon and so many people are like, whoa, oh my gosh, so much is happening. So many challenges in communication, so many emotional ups and downs, and so much going on. Oh my gosh, like everywhere there are some, danger zones, what to do. And do you notice that it just continues to get accelerated? Over the last months, we've been feeling it very strongly. There is this acceleration of energy that's happening on the planet. Why? Well, there are various reasons for that. We see how wars are reflecting it, the wars that are happening in the world, how the evolution of technology is reflecting it, like how just this chaos is reflecting that. But in fact, what is going on is this acceleration of energy. And then what it is inviting us into is in our true place, because we've been prepared for these times. And we have to take charge for our supreme becoming. And your sexuality is the portal for that supreme becoming. Because in the supreme becoming, in the entering of the new world, it's for you to be a full woman. That's how you do that. For a man to be a full man, that's how you do it. Sexuality is the place which opens that for you, like nothing else. For example, a powerful woman, we refer to her as a queen. A powerful man, we refer to him as a king. So what's the difference between a child, a girl or a boy, and a king or a queen? Is that the king or a queen, they have so much to give. They are so connected internally. They are so connected to the divine. They are so anchored in their hearts that they hold the whole world in their heart. A king holds the whole world in his heart. A queen holds the whole world in her heart. And a boy or a girl is always looking for something to get. So the way that many men show up in sexuality is that they use their partner's body in order to masturbate inside of it and come to this place of getting off. So the connection doesn't matter all that much. The depth doesn't matter all that much. What matters is that you rub your genitals and you get off. That's how most people use sexuality. And they think that that's what sexuality is all about. And I don't even blame you, because that's the education that we get, or lack of thereof. And so that's where the pornography comes in, and that's where just this addiction to sex and just kind of this wanting that, like, can we just have sex, like any kind of sex, and then I'll be fine. And then that is quite a frequent conflict between men and women and couples, that men say, hey, we just need to have sex and then we'll be okay. And that's how they find connection. And women say, no, I don't want to just have sex. I want to have a depth. I want to have an emotional depth. I want to have a spiritual depth. I want to have a depth in the sexuality, and then I will have it. And then we see that generally there is this tendency for women to have more and more reluctance to having sex in long-term relationships. And men have growing frustration that why we're not having sex. And then when men act out of the boy energy, then they will say, hey, give me the sex, else I'm not happy. Else I'm not going to be nice to you. Else I'll be offended and I will be shaming you and I will be blaming you. And women then may go and say like, okay, I will give him the sex, then he will be nice to me. And this is women who act out of a girl energy. These are the ones who will do that. When you're acting as a girl, you will give him what he wants, and also have in your mind this guilt that why am I not having sex? I should be having sex. That's my kind of duty. That's what we have to do. And then you will go into it, but you will go halfway, and you will not surrender, and you will not open your heart. You will just do it in order to get something from it, in order to receive nice treatment, so that he is nice to you afterwards. So if you're recognizing yourself in any of these patterns, know that you're not alone, and share. Let's release the shame, because that's the biggest problem with sexuality, that there are all these tendencies that are taking place and people are just not talking about it because they are ashamed, or they are kind of expressing it like in a sarcastic way, but in that nothing is transformed, nothing is healed. Or even, there can be this finger pointing, like, that's what he needs, he makes me do that, and she is such a nagging bitch and she doesn't want to do that. And there can be this power struggles in that as well, and that's not what saves the whole picture. That's not what serves us. We want to find a place of actual sacred union, because the sacred union, the place of the new world relationship that is not there to just help you continue to spiral and spiral and spiral endlessly through all your patterns, but a relationship that actually elevates you into your supreme destiny. That's the kind of relationship that you want to cultivate. And that's the kind of relationship that is a product of deep, deep integrity and deep, deep inner wholeness that comes from alignment with your supreme destiny, that comes through your choice to be aligned to your supreme destiny, to be in your highest becoming. That's from where your integrity comes. That's from where you not tolerating behavior that is not right for you comes. And not from a place of entitlement, but from a place of love. You align to your supreme destiny is you understanding your potential, you holding so much love in your heart that you understand the potential of us as humanity, and understanding that how you show up in your sexuality, in your relationships, in your daily life, in your every choice, that this is directly impacting our evolution as humanity. How you show up directly impacts our evolution as humanity. It matters. It really, truly matters. So it's nice to expand your heart and make it more than just about you. Nice to expand your heart and understand that, yes, thriving sexuality is your birthright. You are meant to experience that. You are born to experience that. I'm getting hot as I speak. It's good for you. It's good for your hormones. It's good for your expression as a woman, as a man. And at the same time, it's even bigger than that. It's even bigger than that. It's about really stepping into the highest becoming. And not only for you and for the people who will see you and who will be inspired by you directly, but by genuinely the kind of frequency we are empowering on this planet. So, where do we go from here? In short, the sacred sexuality, the thriving sexuality, is the place that helps anchor the soul. It helps land those subtle aspects of you that you may simply have an intuition about, but maybe have a hard time really living them. Through the sexuality, through going into these deep, deep places of surrender and deep, deep places of power, you are lending them into this manifest reality, into your life. How incredible is that? We are given this technology. Sacred sexuality is that technology. Your body is that technology. But how little do we dare to explore it? And so I find it to be extraordinarily important. That's why I've dedicated so many years of my life to exactly that. And that's why I've also had to get really humbled and really be on the other side and really see what life without thriving sexual connection is like, and what happens there, and how then I go so much into my head. And then, we have those tendencies to go into the head, to be so much operating up here and not being in the warmth of the body, in the radiance of the body, in the openness of the body, in the wisdom, intelligence of the body that knows where you have to go, knows what kind of decisions you have to take, that knows what is the truth of the situation. So often we get into the depression and doubt and fear and anxiety, but all of that is a product of being in the head and abandoning the body. But when you live in your body, and sexuality is what takes you to it, your problems change. It's a whole different reality that opens up in that. So I want to invite you to a couple of experiences with me. One is the in-person immersion that I have coming up. And this immersion will have a strong focus on exactly this, on the relationships of the new world and on sacred sexuality as the main technology that we have in our relationships. And whether you are in a relationship or not, it still works. We will do a lot of partnered processes, but it does not, if you have a partner, it's really good to do it together because it will create so much depth and so much foundation for you. But even if you don't have a partner, but you want to be in a relationship, you will have so much stretching and so much expansion into the one, that version of you that is already in the thriving relationship. So Fire of Love is coming up in Portugal, starting in November 21st, we begin the prep work. So we are spending some time, some weeks preparing for the field of fire that we will open up. We are starting the prep work in 2 weeks. So now it's a really, really good time to enter and already start to get washed by the field, because the moment you sign up, you are already starting to get washed by the field in which we will be practicing. And so it will be an intimate group of people. And I am seeing myself bringing transmission that I've never brought, because I'm in a very different place and I went through this spiral and through this whole renewed appreciation for what Fire of Love is really transforming us into, and how sacred sexuality is such a sacred ancient technology that we can activate and direct in ways that are mind-blowing, that are really mind-blowing, because they're really taking us out of the mind and into our soul and into our truth. So there will be a lot of rituals, a lot of transmissions that I will be offering you, and this is how Tantra works, that it works through energetic transmission. And when we are in person, you receive the transmission in a very powerful way. We have a week together, which is this accelerated cauldron. We have longer because we also have the online preparation work and then integration work afterwards. But the work in person will open so much for you. It will open those places that if you do things online, or if you do things like in kind of containers that are like that only are taking you to a certain level, like you can still hide and stay safe there, protected, but protected from your depth, protected from your truth. When you come with me into my immersions, we go very deep. So if you've done already quite some preparation work, if you've done quite some exploration work in your consciousness, in your spirituality, in your personal development, you may be ready for that. I would like to see that. If you feel it's in your heart, then send an application form. You will see it on the website. You will see the videos, the images from my previous immersions, and you will see that it's a very contained, very held space. I have over 15 years of experience of holding space for transformation, and the space is very, very beautifully held, and you just walk in and you relax. And then from this place of relaxation, we get to go so deep, opening those Pandora's boxes that people just don't dare to open. And then you may find yourself in being just this, you know that your potential is like that, but you're only embodying it to a certain degree. You're only allowing yourself to shine your heart to a certain extent because you're being careful. And usually this is a product of not daring to go deeper into your wildness, into your sexual aliveness, into your sexual fire, into your sexual openness. So in the fire of love, this will be addressed and converted. What I'm also doing, if you want to experience some more guidance from me, what I'm also doing is I'm doing a workshop next week. It's a free workshop, and this workshop is oriented to anchor you in the divine union with a beloved, with your current beloved or with your future beloved. There will be a free experience, a workshop. It will be like an hour and a half workshop taking place on Tuesday. So you can be a part of it. It's a pop-up thing. I just felt the inspiration to create it literally today. So there are no real details about it, but just for you, if you know you feel it, if you feel like this is the theme for you, if you are ready to go into it, come into the workshop. You can just comment union once the live is over. You can comment union and you will receive the link to register. So, darlings, thank you for being here. Thank you for daring to burn in the fire of love. Thank you for understanding the depth and importance of this work, and for daring to expand your hearts into it, because for me, truly, this whole thing is dedicated to our supreme becoming as humanity. As humanity, our supreme becoming, all of us, living in the new world, and millions of sacred unions blossoming, because by meeting as complete men, as complete women, we do extraordinary work on behalf of all of us, on behalf of our previous generations, on behalf of our future generations, and on behalf of humanity as such. So I hope to see you on Tuesday at the workshop. I hope to see you in person. This is very powerful, but don't be scared of me, please. I know that if you are ready, if you are in resonance, if you feel an openness in your heart, you are ready. Just jump in, jump in. It's a strong container. There's a strong investment level into it as well. But I'm doing it on purpose because I want to invite people who don't have a lot of time, who are not just jumping from workshop to workshop, from retreat to retreat, from experience to experience, but for people who are like, this is my theme and I'm going to invest and commit to it. So I'm creating this very tight, very powerful container because I'm going to be bringing things I haven't brought before. And it's going to be deep.